Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Married Now Widowed. We're your hosts. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Nadine, and this podcast is about navigating life after loss through unfiltered conversations.
Welcome guys to another episode.
Welcome.
Again, a special episode.
Yes.
Because we have a special guest with us.
Yes, we do.
Nadine, take it away.
Yes. So as you all know, Kayla and I both lost our husbands to cancer. Now, we are two people who can understand that loss doesn't always come in the form of death.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
For sure.
And a topic we want to talk about today is, and it's sparked some curiosity amongst our listeners, is loss without death.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Some of you have written into us and have asked us to explore different scenarios on how a loss can feel just as profound, without someone passing
That's
away.
Right. Yeah.
So today we have a special guest. His name is Mohammed.
Yes.
He is a father who hasn't seen his son in about 10 years. And that was due to divorce. Now, although, his story isn't a physical death, I think the emotional toll and the heartache of losing that connection with your own child would be undeniably, heartbreaking and extremely difficult. And so I think, we want to dive deep into, comparing how or grief really with a loved one in different ways.
Yeah, that's right. Because there are different ways, and people, a lot of you guys have wrote into us about that, not necessarily, you started off and you're like, okay, my person hasn't died, but I've lost them in this way, and that for me feels like I'm grieving,
That's
a
exactly
loss. So
right.
thank you so much for
Thank you for coming
to come
on.
in and join and share your story with us. Where did we start? Do you want to tell us a little bit about how did you get here? Why have you not seen your son for a decade? And
sure. So along the lines of after divorce, obviously there's a lot of emotions running and
of course
situations that occur.
Yeah.
So in my situation, he was just on a year.
Okay.
And post-divorce, I did allow about a 3 months to 4 month period where I tried to sort of negotiate a parenting plan.
Yeah.
Time the way I can see him, drop off, pick up points. It became very difficult when she was controlling the whole situation and saying yes only when it suits her.
Yep.
And then, for example, seeing him at a park.
Right.
It had to be opposite where she lived. She was standing 5 meters away, monitoring what I say, what I do.
So it felt very controlled.
Totally.
Yeah.
No freedom where I can just pick him up, take him to my parents and saying, I'll be back in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a massive deal for her.
Yeah.
So after that 4 month period, I said, I can't continue like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Restricted.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's when I applied through the court system.
Sorry. Can I ask you, when you set up that whole, all right, we'll meet at a park and see him, that wasn't court ordered. That was just between the two of you. Okay. And that was just due to divorcing on bad terms, essentially.
Pretty much.
Okay, cool.
And trying to not get the court system involved.
Yeah, of course.
That's, yeah, definitely.
Because it is.
No one wants to go down that
No.
path.
And
Yeah.
as you'll hear, it's a very long process.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I filed for court orders and served her with the papers, that's when things
Changed.
for the worse. And she just said blatantly, no more, you can't see him until the court decides what to do. So that's pretty much how it
kicked off.
And the snowball effect after that.
Yeah.
In saying that, the snowball effect means not showing up to court, not following. For example, they set up a mediation. So you sit and talk to a mediator separately. And then they've asked her to bring my son to a court play centre. and they monitor you, how you interact.
Right.
And they make a report. The report was glowing.
And that would be a supervised visit, right?
Supervised visit.
Yeah.
Report was glowing, even though the fact that he hadn't seen me for 6 months
Right.
at that stage. So they were surprised.
Right.
Still the connection there. He knows
Okay.
I'm his dad.
Right.
Yeah.
He's my son.
Right.
So they proceeded with writing the report. You have to come again to continue that connection.
Yeah.
They want to see, is it just a one-off? Second visit, no show. And the cancellation from her was an hour before. So I'm there. I'm taking days off work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm preparing mentally.
Yeah.
Of course.
I'm going to see my son.
Yeah.
You turn up. Oh, sorry, she's just called in sick. And they say, we can't tell you why.
Right.
I'm the father.
Right.
Yep.
Is he alive? Did
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a crush on the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't tell you.
Right.
So after the court sort of meetings, you finally get enrolled into a what they call is a play center where it's set up for these situations. The name will come to me.
Yeah.
First house they found was in Redfern. So travel distance, no problem for me. You have to pay. She refused to pay. I'll pay, no problem.
Yep.
Just to see him. Get there, she's dropped him off. She has to drop off and pick up at a different point. No problem.
Yeah.
First visit, again, he hasn't seen me for a short period of time.
Yeah.
Again, he knows who I am. We play for an hour.
Wow.
The reporter, the workers are there taking
Notes.
notes. There's a camera on you.
Yeah.
No problem. Visit was 10 out of 10. Next visit is in the next 2 weeks. You get a phone call. You've been barred.
But
Why?
you've been barred?
Yeah, you sorry.
From what?
We can't continue with you coming here and seeing your son. I said, why? What's the problem? Oh, she's made an allegation against you and the centre. So,
But they've got cameras
of course
there.
they do.
And they've written reports and they can
course.
see.
She said there was a mark on his arm. She said he weed his pants on the way home and he's now still bedwetting because he's scared of me.
How old was he?
Under 2. So he's in nappies.
Can I ask you,
Yeah.
you know when you're going to these supervised visits and they're writing these reports, when they write these reports, obviously it's to see the interaction that you have with your son. Is she getting a copy? Like, are you both getting a copy of that?
Yep.
So is she receiving a copy of the report and then making these allegations?
Most likely, yes.
Hold on. Sorry. We have to rewind because I don't understand how we get here. I've never been divorced, right? So can I decide for no reason that I don't want you to see my son, or does it have to be some sort of unfit parenting on your end for her to be able to get to a stage where you're that heavily supervised with your own child? How does that work?
Yep.
Is it because she's the primary?
No, so backtrack a bit. There was no primary or full care or custody
Right.
to her at that point.
Right.
So once the court play centre mediator makes the report, then you do get a court order that says you now have to go to an external service to see him.
But why are we getting there?
Because she won't cooperate.
Okay, but so as a mother, I can just do that because if
course.
I don't want, so let's just say we're married, we have a child.
Yep.
You cheated on me, let's just say, and I don't like you. You've been an amazing father to my son. You're not a drug addict. You're not abusive. You're not anything of that. I can just decide that I don't. Okay, I didn't know that. I had no idea. I thought we're both parents. I thought there had to be something that he's
Well, I
done.
think that's where the courts decide.
But I didn't know that I could even get to a stage of saying like,
Could
no,
you have done that then?
Could I? Yes. Would I? No.
Of
Yeah.
course, I know you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
is it any parent that
Yeah.
can do that?
Are
Like
you
whether
as
it's
shocked as I am? I didn't know that
No.
was a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very easy.
Okay.
And it stems from not getting her way.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of situations like that. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So I wanted to see him at a park. She controlled the park location. No problem.
Right.
I wanted to see him Saturday afternoon, 1 to 3. No, I'm not available. You have to see him at 10.
Yes, so it starts
So-
being quite difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once this is for any woman, really. Once they get served with the court orders, then they start going into this mode of F this.
Yeah.
You can't see him anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can.
And they have every right to do that. Right.
So
I didn't know that.
And back to your question, can I?
Yeah.
As a father, if you do that, you'd have cops on your door
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
demanding the child.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Flip the coin, it's with the mum. His
Yeah.
mum.
Right. Yeah.
There's
wow.
no questions asked.
Okay.
As long as she's not an addict and
That's
Of course.
Right.
abusive. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So the father always has to,
Prove himself.
and take the back seat.
I had no idea about
And
this.
wait.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So you get to court. She's not cooperating to
Not
an
cooperating.
extent with mediation and
So there's
stuff.
a court order, external play centre. You can see him there. Everything goes smooth. Allegations, false allegations. There's a mark on his arm. He's weeing his pants now. He's scared. So what you do, go back to court.
Mm-hmm.
Court reads the mediator report again. Glowing review.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's try another centre.
Right.
I went to 3.
Wow.
Right.
All 3, after 2 to 3 visits, she started now saying, there's a window that's facing the street. And if I come in through that door and he's parked there, he'll see me and I'm scared. So these allegations start coming out.
Right.
So it's not now against me. She's finding things against the centre.
Right.
Right.
And he's
Okay.
not safe.
Okay.
So the centre then says, listen, we've got a list of 200 people.
Yeah.
We need to service them.
Yeah.
If you're this difficult,
Yeah.
We don't want you.
we have no time for you.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
The final centre I went to was Carrying Bar. First visit, no problem. I was surprised. And I actually texted her because I had been going to a mediation course.
Right.
And they said, look, put differences aside. If you find the parent is cooperating, take the step and say thank you
Yeah.
Yeah.
for allowing me to see
Yeah.
my son.
Fair enough.
As silly as that sounds,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I said, thank you for letting me see my son. What do you think happened the next week?
Oh, what?
He's scared. He doesn't want to come. And it was only 45-minute notice. I'm driving to Carrying Bar.
Wow.
Right. Right.
So then you have to go back to court and allow them to see these reports. And then ask the mother,
Yeah.
why? And it's just the whole situation comes back to, I'm scared. He's scared. The kid's scared. I
Yeah.
feel threatened. So then you have to justify yourself. What's
Yeah.
the threat? How am I a threat? How is any father a threat to their children?
Yeah, that's right.
You're just trying to see them.
Of course.
And it's a very controlled environment as well. There's cameras, there's staff, there's everything.
That's right.
Separate entries,
Yeah.
cameras,
Yeah.
sign in, sign out.
How does it feel to have to go and see your son under those conditions? Like you're
Pretty much, yeah.
yeah.
Like you're
Treated
in
like a
jail.
criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The feeling is daunting.
Yes.
It makes you feel why. Like you
Yeah.
start asking yourself, why am I in this position?
Yeah.
But let's just do it
Yeah.
for the sake of your kids. my
Of
son.
course.
I just want to see him.
Yeah.
And they'll find any avenue. The mother
Yeah.
is trying to keep him away.
Yeah.
And he's only 3. He doesn't know.
That's
Yeah.
right.
The kid gets told, let's go.
How long was this process?
3 years.
So the 3 years was that involved the what do we call
Contact
them?
centres.
The contact
Yeah.
centers, visiting him in those, in that environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was 3 years of that.
Yep.
Okay. So
And then
yeah.
back and forth in and out of court to try and get a different contact center.
Right.
So after 3,
Yeah.
the judge just said, there's no point.
So what was the outcome from the judge?
The outcome is he's with the mother. You're going to have to now apply for full custody
Oh,
Right.
because shared custody,
is not an option
in this particular case, my case, absolutely no.
because
Shared, me to be forgotten from him.
Right.
Yeah.
his mind.
Yeah.
Right.
So shared custody is no benefit to her.
No.
Right. Right.
And then there's other allegations, false allegations.
Yeah.
How can she justify these false allegations if I'm allowed to see him
Of course. Yeah.
and interact?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't make
Makes
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get
Yeah.
that. Okay. So, did you apply for full custody?
I did.
You did.
I did. I said to my lawyer, let's go 50-50. I'm not the type that will ever keep
The child away from the mother.
my son, a child
100%.
away from
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the mum. He said, won't work with this particular person.
Right.
He said, full. I said, I can't do full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I work.
That's right.
It doesn't, as a male,
Yeah.
full-time parenting
It's hard.
is very
It's
hard.
very
Yeah.
absolutely.
The male's meant to be the provider. How are you going to do that?
That's right.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you obviously, although things haven't gone great between the two of you, you know that your son needs his mum too at the
course.
end of the day, and you wouldn't
Yeah.
want to take that away from him.
Yep.
But then what do you do?
Yeah,
Like, what?
essentially you're cornered. You're put in a position where you have no choice.
And then it's
considering the circumstances. So if it was normal circumstances, you probably would have gone 50-50.
Yeah.
But in this case, if these allegations are coming out about you,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
But you know what's funny? Like people, I've heard stories similar to yours, but obviously not in great detail. And I would think, oh, look, the guy, he just gave up. What a
Yep.
piece of shit, you know? How can
Yeah.
you not fight?
Yep.
But when you put it this way, it's like, well, what do you do?
That's
You
right.
don't want to take your son away from his mother full time, and you can't have 50-50. So what do you do?
Yep.
Like, you,
That's right.
you know, like I just, wow, I can't. So I just, wow.
Yeah.
So full custody was the only option.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if that's the only option. Let's
do it.
Yeah.
So full custody application, parenting plan, allowing her to see him, school holidays
Yeah.
shared, Eid shared. You know what she said about Eid?
What?
This blew my mind. So grew up going to the same Islamic school, religious school, right?
Okay, yeah.
Same ideologies.
Yes.
She said that I celebrate Eid on a different day,
Right.
and therefore I can't teach my son this ideology.
Sorry.
Can I
Goes
say
to
something
that
though?
level.
Who gives a shit when if you celebrate Eid a day before, a day after, the day of?
What does that
Like,
have to do with anything?
come on.
Used against me. Yep. I even had a gift for him, Eid gift on one of the contact center visit stays. She said he celebrates on a different day. We can't accept the gift.
Great, give it to him on that day then.
Good luck.
No, I mean her. She could have
I know,
taken the gift
I know.
and given it to him on that day. Why are we making things difficult and complicated?
That level.
To really
Yeah, yeah.
minor, like just,
Yep.
wow. Okay.
So shared custody weekends, Eid, all the events,
Yeah.
Father's Day, Mother's Day.
Yeah.
So that's in the application that you have to
Right.
apply for.
Yeah.
You go to court, application's there, you get smacked with false allegations. False allegations where it actually makes you sick to your stomach reading.
Wow.
When I read it for the first time, sick to your stomach.
Wow.
Because you lived with this person,
Yeah.
did things together.
Yeah.
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 You did things for her family, her
Yeah.
parents.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were essentially you're creating a life together. You trusted this person.
Yeah.
Whether 2 years, 8 years, 10 years.
Whatever,
Doesn't
doesn't
matter.
matter.
It does
Yeah.
not matter. Like for me to even, her mum had health concerns. Issues.
Yeah.
So the family asked me to go to Hajj, which is pilgrimage,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
her behalf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you tell that to anyone,
Yeah.
and that's a huge deal.
Of course.
Absolutely.
That is massive.
Yeah, of course.
And I did it.
Yeah.
But there's no consideration or
Yeah. For anything that
Appreciation.
was done prior.
when they get into this
Yeah.
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 mindset
Yeah,
of
of
Yeah.
course.
you've
Hatred.
left- hatred. You've left me. You left. That means you're
Yeah.
never going to see him now.
Does your family have contact with your son?
Zero.
Nobody does.
Nothing. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any other children?
Currently, yeah, 2 girls.
Okay. You
Yeah.
have two, and they came after your
Yeah.
son. Okay. So currently, you haven't seen your son in 10 years.
This will be 2025, going on 12.
12 years.
Yep.
What's like
Well,
what's
okay, contact center visits.
Yeah.
Let's say 11.
Yeah. Wow.
11 years
11
you
years.
have not seen him.
No
What's
physical
that?
contact.
And again, not by choice.
Yep.
Like
Oh, of
something.
course. Yeah, absolutely. You can tell. You're sitting with you. You can tell it's
No,
not by
I just
choice.
want like people
What?
to know that obviously it's not like you don't want to. You went through the process to
That's
try
right.
and see him and you're
Yeah.
getting blocked in every angle.
Yep.
What happened with the full custody?
So
thing.
after 9 years of in and out of court, 9 years,
9 years.
9 years, a short break because I had run out of funds and couldn't
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, these things are costly.
And I just said, we're getting nowhere.
Yeah.
I had to stop.
Yeah.
Not that I was not going to continue again.
Of course, but you need to
Because lo and behold, I
rebuild
did
and-
continue
yeah.
again.
Right.
9 years in and out of court. Full custody came back as 0 to me, 100% to her.
Wow.
And the main point was he has not seen me in so long, and he's been fed the absolute worst
So sad.
about me.
wow.
So how can a judge, he doesn't care about
Her.
mother, father.
Right.
He looks at the child.
Of course.
And he's old enough now
And the
to...
child's represented by his
Yeah.
own lawyer.
yeah.
And he just says, what's the child going to say
Yeah.
when he's been fed this monstrous idea of,
Well, because, you know, the last time you saw him, he was 3 years old.
course.
What is he going to remember at 3?
much.
And it's not like you were seeing him consistently. It was, what, an hour, if that?
quick story on the kidnapping allegation, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at a Woolworths in the local area, and I see my son, and I had not seen him for a long time. And he was still around the three-ish mark. So I seen him in the trolley, and I thought, that's my son. I'm going to go say hello to my son.
Obviously.
So I walked
Yeah.
up to him. He's in the trolley, and he actually recognized me. He looked up, and I said, "Hello, Baba. How are you?" Salam alaikum. And then she turned around and saw who it was and noticed me. Leave us alone. I said, "I'm not here for you." I said, "I'm not here for you. I'm here for my son." And then he put his arms up. He's in there sitting in the trolley.
Yeah.
So she's checking out, and then she grabs the trolley again, and then finishes her checkout and storms away. So I say bye to my
Bye.
son from a distance. Wait.
Yeah.
And then I just stand there, and I think,
My son's right there and I can't even
Yeah.
pick him up.
like,
Sorry, this makes me so emotional.
Yeah.
come on. The divorce has happened. It's been 3 years now.
Yeah.
Like, move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Stormed off. No problem. Not even a week later, knock on the door. Police. Yes, how can I help you? Are you such and such? Yes, I am. Oh, you've been served with AVO. So what are you talking about?
Sorry, is this serious?
Yeah.
100%. 1,000%. What are you talking about? Were you at this supermarket in this situation? I said, yes. She was okay. The cops say, so cops can't get too involved.
Right.
What their job is now to prevent further sort of domestic violence related issues.
Right.
They just serve you with court orders, and they say, as of this moment, you cannot approach, contact until your court date. Right?
Right.
So go to court. Present yourself to court. And then my lawyer said, we've got footage from this supermarket.
Just about to ask that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't stand back and say, no, I'm just going to let her make allegations.
Yeah.
We presented footage.
Yeah.
Such and such date, time, counter number, whatever.
Yeah.
So we actually showed you were there by coincidence.
Yep. They're the prosecutor. Is it the prosecutor?
Yeah.
look at the footage before even looking at the courtroom. We don't even enter.
Oh.
We don't even enter. And my lawyer said, this is the footage. This is our case. What do you have to say? You know what the prosecutor said?
What?
Sorry for wasting your time.
Really?
Yep, AVO cancelled.
Oh,
Wow.
how good. How good.
Look, they were embarrassed
Yeah.
to even go to the judge and say, in the allegation as well, in her report, I tried to kidnap him, take him out of the trolley. My dad was waiting outside, and we've booked a flight to overseas for him. There's no passport.
You hadn't booked any. Were you traveling at least?
No.
No.
Yeah.
This is the allegation level
Wow.
that they steep to.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm like shocked. I can't.
That's not including all the other stuff against me.
That's probably just one little drop in the
yeah.
ocean of what you've been facing. Yeah, of course. Absolutely. I'm so taken back by that. And what's unfortunate is that I feel like a lot of the times it's probably easier to believe her over you as an outsider looking at the situation. I don't know why we do that as society, but generally we just believe the mum, you know.
It is auto response, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because maybe there's too many cases against...
That's
males
right. Maybe the
or the
majority
father.
is that it is the father in the wrong, but there are some like yours where it's really not,
That's
you
right.
know. So you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but now or the last time you were in court when your son was a little bit older, what does he say about you?
Okay, so he had representation from his own lawyer, I see.
Yeah.
He was asked to be interviewed separately
Right.
to the mother.
Right.
Booked a time via Zoom, so it's not in an environment where he's scared. It's not in a courthouse.
Yeah.
Okay. Comfort of your own home. So dial up, Zoom, the ICO calls in. The laptop is open for 2 seconds. This is in the report. Maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah.
She asks him, what's your name? Just to want to make sure who you are. This is the case that I'm presenting. He said, I have nothing to say. I hate him. I don't want to see him. And he slams the laptop. So this is a child who's still in primary school, knows laptops from schoolwork, has no Zoom experience.
Yeah.
He's been coached.
Of course, because when you think about it, what does he actually know about his father?
That's right.
Aside from what he's been told.
Right. It's not like, he's 14 and you lived 14 years with him and, you know, he built his own opinion.
That's right.
How old is he? How much
ICO
does he know?
Confirmed. This child was coached, trained, whatever word she used,
Yeah.
to reply to
In
me
that
like
way.
this.
Quite obvious though. Do you know what I mean? You said you divorced when he was just after 1.
Yeah.
So what does he know of you?
No.
Just what he's been told.
That's right.
Wow. How did you feel?
It's gutted.
Yeah,
Just gutted
I can't imagine.
Because you look forward to maybe him having his own voice,
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Of course you would.
saying something that might trigger
Yeah.
you in his mind.
That's
yeah.
right.
But it's not allowed.
Yeah.
It's shut down
Yeah.
because she can't stomach that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's-
And I guess you probably wait for that, right? To them to grow up a little bit, maybe form a little bit of their independent opinion, maybe say, I do want to see my dad.
Yeah.
I guess you wait many years for that, right?
Yeah.
And then it comes to that and that's the response. Like, that's hard. I couldn't imagine as a parent.
Yeah,
like,
that would be very
heartbreaking.
difficult.
Yeah, wow.
Very difficult.
So then you've got to mentally prepare yourself for the next court hearing, which is 6 months after, to try and get a reply for this situation. And you think to yourself, surely there's something out there that can force her or a mother to make them see
Yeah.
make them.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Is
course.
there a sheriff that can
Yeah.
Yeah.
team up with
Yeah.
the mother?
Yeah.
No, there isn't.
Yeah.
She can say and
And do
control
whatever she wants.
anything.
Wow.
So let's flip it. Imagine I deny, and there's court orders or whatever,
Yeah.
a child to not see his mum.
You would probably get arrested.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
People say to me, do you know where he goes to school? Just go pick him up one day.
You'd end up in
You're not allowed.
Because
do that.
you don't realise there'll be
Yeah.
a cop chase
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you're in jail.
Yeah.
How old is your son now?
13.
13.
13.
Yeah.
13.
Wow.
So he's at that age now where I'm hoping,
He would want to ask questions.
yeah,
And realize maybe that he's been influenced to have
But who's
Yeah,
gonna,
the distance.
Who around him is going to make him aware
sadly
of that?
no one.
He doesn't have your family.
No.
No,
who's
but I
gonna-
think, as your children get older, like you said earlier, they do start to form
Yeah,
their
but
own
if
independence
you
and their own
are
opinion.
being- and I don't want to say the word poisoned because I don't know the woman, so I don't want to make any judgment, but let's just use that word for this sake. If a child has grown up from 3 years old being fed that stuff about another parent and
Yeah.
essentially poisoned, it's very unlikely they're going to just one day want any contact or want it. Like, it's heartbreaking, but think about it. That's a long time,
Yeah.
you know? That's
You would
that's a
hope,
kid. Kids are
I think.
very,
There's
very
only hope that one day at school there's a conversation that
something.
sparks
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, what's your dad do for work?
yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Have you had any, I guess, outside, anyone like any family members or like anyone outside kind of, I don't know, try and mediate, like
Yeah.
people that know her or,
Yes, I have. Just picture a brick wall.
Okay.
oh,
Absolute brick wall.
Yeah.
put it that way.
Trying
Not
to get
getting
through
anywhere.
to
Yeah.
any message across or any sort of inch of
Wow.
mercy.
Not even like her family,
Yeah,
sister.
it's through her family.
Oh, and so they were do they know what she's doing is
They know
wrong?
everything. They know everything. I bumped into many family members from her
Yeah.
side, and they're all like, "Have you seen him? What do you mean you don't see him?"
Oh, they didn't know.
They know to a certain extent,
Oh,
and then she distanced herself from
Yeah.
everyone.
right.
Why? Because there's a plan to detach
Yeah.
and not allow any contact.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's her mentality behind it.
Right.
Because if there's any such contact and there's a whisper of my name
That's right.
or me,
Yeah.
it's chaos.
Yeah.
How's she going to backtrack? How's she going to make the kid now not
That's
wonder?
just crazy.
You can't
Of course.
stop a kid wondering.
That's right.
No, of course
That's
not.
exactly right.
can-
So
feed them.
you don't have any contact with him. You don't know where he goes to school. Do you know where he lives?
I do know his school. She did
Update you?
update me that minute information.
Okay.
But
All right.
really, what's that going to do?
But what-
Does it mean anything to
Yeah,
you?
it doesn't
You're still
really.
not
It doesn't.
gonna
It's
see
not
him.
like you
Yeah.
can drop in and
Yeah.
say hello or
Yeah.
anything.
Because I go back to the point. If I do, the
Yeah.
repercussions.
Yeah.
Is it illegal for you to
Illegal,
I don't know,
no. Illegal,
rock
no.
up at a sports game? Like, is it illegal?
Illegal, no. Nothing in the
No.
orders, in your court orders or my court orders that say I can't.
Yeah.
Nothing illegal about it. Mm-hmm. It's the
What
after-
happens afterwards? That's
aftermath.
gonna. Yeah.
So let's just say hypothetical. I don't know. I don't know if he plays any sports or whatever, and
Yeah.
you do rock up to like a sporting event or something, and you're just sitting there watching him.
Yep,
You're okay to. You're allowed to do
I'm
that.
allowed to.
Okay.
I can
And
share
then
his name, call out to him. I
Yeah.
can,
amazing.
Yeah.
And then she then goes and tells the police, for example, he's here, da da da. This is what
Yeah.
he did. They come knocking on your door.
Yep.
You've got court orders that say like, I'm allowed to be there. I want to see my son. I'm not allowed to sit with my son. I just want to watch him play. I
Yeah.
want to see something of him, like,
Yeah.
growing up and,
What kind
you're
of
allowed to do that.
insanity is this? You can't sit with your son. What? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is the
This
system.
is insane.
This is the system that
Can I-
allows this.
I want to know, and we'll go into like your feelings towards not seeing him and how they sort of relate to a loss. But, and again, you don't have to answer. Honestly, why do you think she's done this to you? Were you a bad husband?
No, definitely not a bad husband. To be honest, I think it comes down to her just being in control.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I experienced that during the marriage.
Of course,
So
yeah.
that's fact.
Okay.
There is a controlling
Nature.
element.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Which has now stemmed onto
Your child.
part of me.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So
Okay.
how can she have me out of her world? And trust me, I don't want to be in her world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she has something of me
Yeah.
Yeah.
that she can now.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Control.
course.
Essentially use against you, really, right? The only thing. Yeah. Okay.
You know what I find really, really sad? I find that, you know, as parents, you never want, like, put aside your own feelings and your own emotions that you have with your ex-husband or your ex-wife. At the end of the day, you have a child.
That's
and
right.
you're not thinking of the child's best interest. You're not thinking of the child's needs, the child's, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just find it a little bit selfish. You know that this person is not a bad person, right? You married him,
That's right.
right? You married him. You chose him. You had a child with him.
That's right.
So, you know, shit happens and people get divorced.
Yeah.
But then to go to that extent of denying the father
It's a lot.
or the
It's a big
wife,
thing.
you
It's
know,
a big
access
thing.
to their own child, their own
Especially
child.
when
Who
he's
are you?
fit to be a father?
That's
But
right.
who
There's no
are
abuse,
you? Like,
there's no
who are
drugs,
you? Like,
yeah.
who gives
I
you,
know.
what gives you the right to
Yeah.
have that say?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes my blood boil.
And
it's-
Because I think for me, if I had, you know, if I was divorced, at the end of the day, every child needs their mother as every child needs their father. That's not something that I would ever take away from my children.
Unless you
even
had
if,
to.
unless
That's
it
right.
was, you know,
That's right.
you know, if it was domestic violence involved or like whatever it is, like if it was,
That's right.
yeah, but if it was just that we had disagreements
right.
and we didn't connect and, you know, our relationship, you know,
Broke down,
Exactly.
yeah.
What have the children got to do with
And
it?
you know the worst part of all of this? Your son gets affected the most
That's
out
right.
of everyone.
That's exactly
not her,
right.
Not
That's what I'm
you.
saying.
Your son
You're putting
suffers.
you are
Yeah.
selfish because you are putting your own feelings. You're acting on emotion right now. You're not thinking of your child's feelings. You're not
Yeah.
thinking about what your child needs. It's all about you. So you
Yeah.
are selfish.
And to be honest, for someone who has lost their husband and has a child, it's really frustrating when there's a perfectly capable father. I would do anything for my kid to have a dad.
That's
anything.
exactly right.
I would do anything to be divorced and just have a decent ex-husband
100%.
that can be
Yeah.
a father in my child's life. So it's so infuriating when women or men actively choose to take that away from a child when there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with the
parent,
He's
yeah.
a good dad. Yeah, maybe you didn't like him as a husband. Maybe you don't like him as a person. That's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But if he's a fit father, it's so disappointing to me that you would actually make that decision.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, like, I don't know, especially as a widow, I hate that.
Few points before I forget. So kids are given to us as from God, right? And the word is amana.
Yeah,
It's your duty on this earth to look after them,
of course.
That's right.
whether it be together or separate. Technically, they're yours,
Yeah,
but they're not yours.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's a gift from God.
that's right.
So for you to have that mentality of, oh no, I'm controlling
That's right.
when and where and if you see him, like that's
Yeah.
devastating
Yeah.
Of course.
It is.
to have that mentality.
It really is.
The other thing I was going to say, so as a father, now you're just waiting zone now.
Yeah.
Okay? You're waiting for that phone call, the knock on the door from your child, from
Yeah.
my son, to say, hey, Dad, what's going on?
Yeah.
Have there been moments where you felt that, oh, maybe it's my son or maybe it's her or, you know, like an unexpected knock on the door? Like, have there been moments that you've gone through that?
Unfortunately, yes, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Because you have hope, right?
You do have that hope of
Can't
one day.
help it.
Like after even maybe speaking to someone mutual
Yeah.
that knows him,
Yeah.
and then you just sit and wait. You sit
Yeah.
and wait.
Yeah.
And then there's that Saturday afternoon knock on the
Yeah,
door.
or even a number that calls you don't have
Yeah.
saved, and you're like, could it be? Yeah.
And you think, no.
How terrible. How terrible.
But then let's say it's when he's 15, 16, 17. You now have to
Rebuild the
Rebuild.
whole thing.
It's not about bad-mouthing her to him after all these years. That's not my...
No.
Yeah, that's not what
not
you
my
want.
goal.
You want to build that connection and that
That's
relationship
right.
with him.
You need to now,
And
rebuild.
you know,
that's if
if he accepts it.
Yeah.
If
he
any
comes
child-
knocking on your door, if
Yeah.
he, you know.
And you know what? Will the relationship, like, it probably will never be the way it would have been if you
Had you been in his life.
in his life. You know,
Yeah.
it's not easy for a 20-year-old to meet their dad for the first time, essentially at 20. You've lived a whole 20 years without him. Like, it's just sad,
I
isn't
do
it?
have hope in the sense that you hear other fathers' stories
Yeah, yeah.
and they say,
He came back.
my son came back and
Wow.
yeah,
best relationship ever,
Yeah.
we're best mates.
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. And he and just recently one of the advice I got was never badmouth the other
Yeah.
Of
parent.
course, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no point.
Yeah.
And you
gonna-
know what? To be honest, when kids get older, they can see through so much of that. Do you know what I mean? So imagine your child comes back to you and you don't say a word about his mother. That's going to tell him a lot.
That's
Do you know what I
right.
mean? It's going to speak volumes even
Yeah.
by you not saying anything.
Yeah, I'm just
It's-
there for you.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Because ultimately that's what you want. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't care what happens to, you know, her in her relationship,
Yeah,
in her
whatever.
world, whatever. It's,
Oh, I remember it again now.
yeah.
So the moving on part, right?
Right.
So people, a lot of women see the father remarry,
Yeah.
continue on with his life, have new children,
Mm.
and then they sit with your son, for example, and there's a jealousy.
Yeah.
There's, how am I going to get him back?
Yeah.
Mm.
In my situation, that's not the case.
Right.
Both parties have moved on.
Yes.
Both parties have got kids from
Their new
partners.
partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, that even makes it worse in the sense that you have other,
Yeah. You're happy now.
Yeah.
essentially.
Have other-
Yeah.
another life.
Priorities,
Yeah.
another,
Priorities,
yeah,
another life.
commitment. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Surely for 2 hours on a Saturday, you can say,
Go and
Yeah.
see your father.
Yeah.
to your dad.
Yeah. It's almost crazy, isn't it? Like, you sort of can understand if they're in a miserable, really
Yeah.
bad, you've remarried, they're jealous, whatever. But
I'm
it's
stuck
like,
at home.
yeah, it's like you've got a new life now. You
Yeah.
don't have any mercy for me, even a little bit. Yeah.
It's really
I
sad,
have
honestly.
another question, maybe a little bit difficult. Again, you don't have to answer it.
okay.
You said that she's moved on. So there's obviously a father figure in your son's life. How does that make you feel?
Initially, I wanted to meet him.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was going to be living under the same roof as my son.
Of
Yeah.
I
course.
need to know the person.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I'm not a very judging person, so regardless of who they are or the history,
Yeah.
I want to know them in the present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and how my son will be treated with him living on the same roof.
That's
Of
right.
course.
How does that make me feel? As a man, you're not really jealous. You're not really...
Okay.
Right. You just want to make sure that this person that's in
Yeah.
your son's life is, you know,
Yeah.
is a good
Yeah, it's safe.
role model,
He's
or
gonna be
it's safe, and
Okay.
yeah.
It's interesting from a man's perspective
Yeah.
because I feel like women, we do have that jealousy,
Yeah,
whereas it's interesting from a man that you don't feel that way. You just,
Yeah,
it's
it's
more
just the
about
way we're
safety
built, yeah.
and, you know, but I'm just going to say this, and I don't give a fuck. I say a lot of wild things on this, and no offense to her or this guy, but to be honest, I would expect him as a man to encourage his wife to,
Yeah.
you know, why don't you think about maybe a relationship with his father? That's what I think a good person does. Sorry, that's just my
Well, we
opinion.
don't know that he hasn't.
Yeah,
Or
I
do
don't
you
know. That's
know?
why I'm saying I don't know. I don't
True.
know him. I
We-
can't
we
talk, but I'm
don't
just
know.
saying
Because
that's the role I would expect
at
someone
some
to
point
play.
as well, like, we don't know, right?
Yeah.
And you are 100%
Yeah.
right, because if
Yeah.
that was me, I would be pushing,
Encouraging.
going, exactly.
Yeah.
Through
But
a mutual, I
Mm-hmm.
do know. Initially, he did bring it up.
That's great. Good on him. That's
and was
really
shut
good.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's great that he tried. See, I like that.
Yeah.
I'm impressed by that. I think, you know,
Yeah.
that's,
And he was shut
yeah.
down
Yeah.
almost immediately.
Yeah. Fair.
And-
Okay. Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again,
From
we don't know. Maybe
he could bring it up every day for all we know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah. That's why I said nothing against him. I don't know him or
So you
her
didn't
in general.
obviously get the chance to meet him. Have never spoken to him.
Never.
Wow.
I've texted him.
Has he responded?
No response.
Oh.
Yeah. Whenever I email her,
You email him?
I message him and say I've sent an email.
Right.
No
He's
reply.
never contacted you.
Zero.
Never responded to you.
Zero.
I don't know how I feel about that. I'm trying not to judge.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry, I don't know. I don't know how I feel
You
about
know,
that.
I'm one person who right is right and wrong is wrong. If I love you and you have fucked up, I'm going to tell you.
That's
You
right.
would know this.
Sure do.
I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry, you're wrong. And these are the reasons why you were wrong. And if you're right, well, you're right. I'm going to support you regardless, but I'm going to call you out. And I just feel like as a partner that you would want that from your partner, your husband, your
100%.
wife, because they're the ones, like, you live with them. You see them day in, day out. So the fact that, you know, he can't, or maybe he can and we're judging right now.
Or maybe he's not allowed to respond to him. You have to maybe.
But how will she know? He can send him a message and say, I've received your message.
that's
Thank
true.
you. Leave it with me. Nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Acknowledge.
Yeah, I agree.
Acknowledge
Yeah.
the father of the child that you
Yeah.
have living in your house.
See, I agree.
Acknowledge
Yeah,
that.
I
You
totally
don't have
agree.
to tell her.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying keep it away from her, but at the end of the day, there's if you're trying to do good, you don't need to tell anybody. You don't need to. You're not keeping a secret from her.
Yeah.
You're just acknowledging the father and saying, thank you, got your message, got your email. You know, there's only some, or don't even comment. Just say thank you, received. Acknowledge the father.
Quick
Don't
story.
make him feel like he's a piece of shit.
So I messaged him and I said, what's his shoe size? I'd like to send him a gift.
Beautiful, yeah.
A few days later, I get a message from the mutual friend that knows us both. And he said, World War III.
Oh.
He goes, he asked her, what shoe size is my son? And I said, why are you asking her?
Go and look at his shoes.
Thank you.
Grab a shoe.
Grab a shoe.
He wears shoes. Grab a
and
shoe.
just reply.
Seems like he's scared of her though.
Grow a set. What can I say?
And
grow a pair.
just reply size 9.
Yeah.
You created more hatred.
Yeah. But created hatred over what? You asking what?
Because he wanted to send his son a pair of shoes.
What's the hatred about?
How dare I think of my son and try and send him a gift?
Well.
Wow.
To that level.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's give him a little bit of credit though for asking. He asked. He's trying. He's trying here. He's getting annihilated. Got to give him a bit of credit. Little bit.
I don't know. I don't really think I can.
Wow. This is I can't believe that. Do you think about your son every day?
Daily.
Every single day. Hey, I can't even imagine.
So talk us through how you would compare this to essentially a loss, a death. I know it's not obviously a physical death.
No, that's
but
right.
the feelings I think
feeling of-
would be quite similar. There would be a lot of similarities between the two.
Yeah, because we've all lost loved ones, and
Yeah.
thoughts that go through your head is, what are they doing now? What would they be doing now?
Of course.
How does their laugh sound? What does it
Yeah.
sound like? What does his voice sound like?
Of course.
Jeez.
And he's
Things like
13 now, like
Yeah, breaking and
yeah.
changing.
That's right.
So those thoughts cross my mind.
Far out.
Where is he? What's he doing? What's he smell like? You know?
Yeah.
Because the last physical touch and hug and smell,
That would have been when
Was
he
that-
was a baby.
natural, baby smell. So that's tough, yeah.
Yeah.
That is like
And it's like losing someone who you used to sit next to and have coffee with, and you've got
Yeah.
their scent next to you. So that's hard.
Sorry.
Sorry to bring up.
No, it's just
Yeah. So
like Kayla
essentially-
said before, like,
Yeah.
you know, that we'd give anything to go through a divorce so that our children can have their
Yeah.
father back in their life, and then you have a capable, fit father who, doesn't have that option, and it's just, and even the child, like, it's just unfair. But I want to ask you something. I want to ask, because I've thought of this and I don't know how I feel about it. Do you think it's easier or harder? Because I'm a bit torn. I'm like, it would be harder because he's alive and you can't do anything. Like you can't see him, you can't speak to him, you can't go near him, you can't do any of that.
100% hard.
And then I think, is it easier because then maybe one day, like, you have that hope that maybe one day you can see him, you can speak to him. So I'm like a little bit torn on that. Like, sometimes I think it would be harder than an actual death,
knowing that they're out there and you
and then there are times where I think, and I don't know, maybe it's that hope in me that has hope for you, that thinks no, and maybe it's not harder, maybe it's easier, just because you have that hope that he will one day knock on your door or one day call you, or do you know what I mean? So I don't, you can answer that question. How do you compare
hard.
it? Yeah,
knowing they are out there
and you can't contact. You
can't, because and if you try to, there's the ramifications,
of course,
so you can't. And the system unfortunately allows it. Allows the ramifications to come back to the father when they do attempt or try. So that's it. That's the hardest part.
Of course.
Had he, God forbid, passed away, you'd think, okay, I don't have that connection or wanting to.
Well, you can't now, right? Like you wouldn't be able to at that point.
Hug him, talk to him, you can't. That's reality.
Whereas now you have it's just your ex-wife stopping you from having it. Like, that's crazy to me. The reason he hasn't seen his son in a decade is just because of one person that you loved, you chose to marry. Is that crazy?
And you know what I think? I would think that as time goes on, people heal. And like we said earlier, and like you said, Kayla, like, you've moved on, she's moved on, she's met somebody, she has another 2 children or however many kids from this person. You think that in time you evolve, you grow as a person. Your feelings aren't as heightened,
That's
right? And you're not really acting out of, on your emotions as such, right? And so you think, okay, when you come back down to earth, right, and you think logically, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? And then you'd hope that she would, have a look and say that maybe I've gone a little bit overboard. And you would hope that maybe she allows that. But unfortunately for you, it's just a waiting game. It's either she allows it at this point or he comes looking for you. There's nothing else that you can do.
And he needs to be at that age where he can voice his.
Have you emailed her at all to be like, hey, let's just put everything aside. You've moved on. I'm sure you're, happy in your marriage. I've moved on. I'm happy in my marriage. Like,
she's angry
I want to
about
see
her shoe size. I don't think she's going to take
How long ago was
well.
this? Was this recent?
Shoe size?
Yeah.
Nah. Maybe 4 years ago.
Okay, so there's been nothing since then. So in the last 4 years, I don't know. Do you think about maybe just sending an email saying?
Very good question. To me, delving into an emotional email to her, I know the reply.
What would the reply be?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay, but what do you have to lose?
And I've tried in the past to communicate via email, not on an emotional level, not on a, hey, let's try and
sort things out.
Yeah. Because I know there's going to be no reply. Right. What do I have to lose? The fact that it brings her joy when she sees the email and there's no reply.
But then look at all of the, look at what you will have. You'll have all this proof that you can show your son. Like, look at what I tried. Aside from the last 13 years, I didn't stop. I was sending emails. I don't know if you want me to.
I think he's done a lot. I think he's done a lot.
I'm not saying he hasn't. I'm not saying he hasn't done a lot, but I don't know. Maybe it's me being hopeful for you that maybe you send that one email, you can send 10, you'll get knocked back, and then maybe on the 11th you get a bit of
12.
But honestly, it seems like she's heartless at this point.
It's a long time to hold this grudge for. 12 years. 12 years. You don't think you can give him half an hour? Like, sorry.
Yeah, it's crazy.
This is crazy.
It is crazy.
So the last communication, not last, but most recent was, it's no longer her, it's my son saying no. And I know for a fact that's not the case because he's been coached this whole time.
That is sad, because really, I believe he's being coached, but what can you say to that? Your son says no. What do you say to that? Do you know what I mean? Different story when it was her. But right. Now that it's, he doesn't want to see you. What the fuck do you say to that?
And before I forget this point, the system allows this kind of behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the system does not punish.
Yeah.
Or.
So if she doesn't follow a court order,
okay,
there's no punishment?
Okay. So not following a court order. Great question. Go back to court and file for contravention of court orders.
Right.
Wait.
Yeah.
Till your time comes.
Yeah.
So let's say 3 months. Go to court. You present your case. The allegation is she's not bringing him at 12:30 on a Saturday to the park we agreed on. Mother, please do it. And don't do this again. Make sure.
Oh, so you've actually gone through this?
No.
Oh.
This is the wider father community facts, stories
right.
that you hear.
Yeah.
Because I did say, okay, I'm going to file for contravention of court order.
Right.
Yeah.
Waste of time.
Don't even bother. Yeah. Yeah.
That is so sad.
You go back.
Is there a community, like a father's community group?
Jeez, how sad.
There is.
So, I don't know why that's so sad to me. That's so sad.
There's a lot of fighting for fathers' rights, and unfortunately there's no sort of advertising and sort of not marketing, what's the
like
word?
A higher voice or something.
But I think there's not enough of them.
Not enough.
Not enough
Tell you
of
why.
you.
As long as you pay child support, you continue to work and pay, and the kid is looked after by the mother who's not abusive, a drug addict, etc.
Of course.
The system does not try and intervene or force.
Yeah. You're doing your job, which is paying. She's doing her job, which is nurturing, and that's it. We don't care apart from that. Yeah, I get that. I mean,
Next,
it's
please.
wrong.
So
but
fucked up.
can I ask, what's child support? What do you have to pay?
Oh yeah, pay weekly. So pay weekly according to your salary or wages. Okay.
Wait, sorry. This is again, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You pay every week.
Yep.
Of course
and
he
you
does.
don't see your son.
No.
0.
And can I say, a lot of fathers don't see their kids for similar reasons. Mother won't give them the child or children. They stop paying child support.
Stop paying. So this is facts. This happened to me. Don't see him. Never was allowed to see him. Continued to pay child support. Then I got to a stage of, like any other father, most fathers, why am I paying?
Yeah.
Agree.
Why should I continue paying?
Yeah.
Agree.
You stop paying. You accumulate a debt.
Yes.
Right? You get phone calls monthly. Why haven't you paid? Are you going to pay? When are you going to pay?
And are you on the other end going, well, I don't see him, so fuck you, I'm not paying.
Of course I am.
Yeah.
You know what? These situations are the only times where I would say
Don't
I
pay
wouldn't
it.
fucking pay. I would never. I'm always like, nah, you pay for your fucking kid no matter what. You wanted to have that kid, you're the man, you provide, you pay. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
He doesn't see the kid and by no choice of his own.
I got my own ABN.
Mm-hmm.
They questioned why I got an ABN. I said, because it's a free country and I'm
Yeah.
allowed.
Yeah.
Are you trying to hide your income? No.
Yeah.
Then the job I was doing, I was earning X amount
Yeah.
and showing X amount through the ABN and paying
Right.
according to that. Then I get a phone call. Senior case manager, yes. Your income doesn't match your age for the job you're doing.
Doesn't match your age.
Yep.
What do you mean?
I freaked out. I said, sorry? Your age for your job should be earning 80K, for example.
Yeah.
Instead of 55,000.
Oh, okay.
Your age?
Yep. I said, I'm paid per job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not on a salary, not on
Yeah.
a wage.
Yeah.
This is my paperwork.
Yeah.
We don't look at that.
Well,
Boom. Your child support now increases. I can't afford it. You can't pay it. You're accumulating a
I
debt.
couldn't deal with this.
No, it gets better. What do you think they took from me once you reach a certain amount of debt?
your tax.
No.
What?
No, they're married to the tax department. They know everything.
Yeah, they'll garnish or take it. Or
What?
what did they take from you?
Passport. No word of a lie. Swear to God. Passport blocked. Yep.
What?
Until you pay your debt.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of this. I've heard if you have an ATO debt, not an ATO debt, a
Child
a child support
What
debt,
the
you're
fuck is
screwed.
going
yeah,
on?
they take your passport. I heard this. Did this law not come out not long ago?
I think
Couple
it was
years ago or
inquiry.
something?
Yeah, possibly.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
No passport.
This is
Because how can you travel if you have a
That's
child?
their
Like how can
mentality.
you how are you getting the funds to travel
That's
when
their mentality.
you can't pay your
But
child
hang on.
support?
I'm not a criminal.
No, you're not.
you get
I-
treated like one. You've been treated like one, to be
Exactly.
honest, from the beginning.
Exactly. My son has technically been kidnapped from me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Right? I can't see him
That's
without
right.
her permission or
Yeah.
allowing it. But I'm blocked.
That's right.
My passport's confiscated
This is insane.
until
Yeah.
you clear your debt. Then once you clear your debt, someone has to approve it, and then you get your passport.
What the fuck is going on?
And so you did all that?
Unfortunately, like,
Yeah.
You had no choice. What
Yeah,
were you going to
because-
do?
you're cornered.
Yeah, of
that's
course.
You're cornered.
So now you're paying obviously weekly
Yeah, pay
and
weekly, yep.
And how long does it until they're what age?
18?
And then if they go to uni, apparently, continue.
You continue if they go to uni.
Apparently,
How about there's HEX?
tertiary studies. No-
Completely insane.
Well, as long as you contribute, the government's paying less.
That's
to them.
right. That's exactly right. Yep.
So your payment allows the government to pay less.
Can I ask you, and you don't have to give a figure, just maybe above, what do you think this has cost you, this process, for the last 10 years?
13K per year on average.
13,000 a year.
13K per year
Right.
for not seeing your son.
For not seeing your son.
I questioned them once. I had a big discussion with them. And I said, she's remarried. He's possibly a millionaire. Or he could be not a millionaire. I said, but isn't there a new father figure, new husband, sorry, that is now providing, contributing to the household? We don't care if he's a billionaire, is the response. Zero
Yeah.
consideration.
Sorry. Oh, you're talking about child support. I meant court fees.
Court. Oh,
Yeah, lawyers and courts. Do you
Oh.
know?
I stopped at 40, 50.
Right.
But I'll tell you this.
But it could have
I'll tell you
gone
this.
on.
There was a situation where I couldn't cross-examine her.
Yeah.
And she couldn't cross-examine me. So the system provides a barrister for that purpose. So he doesn't represent you.
Right.
He just represent the questioning,
Okay.
okay? Because you're not allowed. Because of intimidation and
Sure.
fear and style of questioning is the explanation I got. No problem. This is what he said to me. 200,000 minimum minimum for your case. He said, and that's only if you get a fair judge. And he said, good luck with contravention orders after that.
Wow.
People have lost homes over this.
This
People,
is insane.
people take mortgages on their homes to
There is such a hole in the system, isn't there?
And you know what? I totally understand it if you are
I was just going to say
a
that.
drug addict, if you're abusive even to her.
Yeah.
I have to say, I understand that. To her, to him, to whatever. But this is insane. Just because someone doesn't want it for whatever reason, that's crazy.
I don't know if this is true. This could be just
Hearsay.
But if you're actually in jail and you request to see your kids will be delivered to you in jail.
I think you are correct.
I'm done.
For visiting hours.
I'm done with this country.
I think you are correct.
We're
going to phone a friend.
You want to call?
Yeah.
Oh, who would you like to call?
The lawyer, the brother.
Oh.
If he answers.
Yeah.
The last time I did this, he rocked me and he didn't answer.
He didn't answer during our... I don't like to use... I hate pedophiles. I just hate that whole
No,
word.
I think
But
that's a different story.
I just want to say, the way your visits are supervised, it's like pedophile level.
Yep.
Cameras on him
Yeah.
to see his son
Yep.
in a play centre.
Hey, it's me, Nadine, filming podcast. Can I get you on legal advice? Well, not legal advice. I'm just going to pop you on speaker. So we're just having a conversation with somebody who hasn't had the chance to or has been denied access to their child. And the father is fit and you know, he pays child support and it's just that the mother isn't, you know, giving the father access to the child.
Sorry, I lost a bit of what you were saying too. You're saying if he's outside of jail and the mother says no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unlikely to happen because if she was to deny him access, then he would make an application to the family law court, right, and say that, I haven't seen my son for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. And then the court would sort of see why the reason is. Even if there's domestic violence, that sort of stuff, generally the court will make an order to allow the children to see both parents, even if it's supervised visits.
And that's the point I wanted to make.
Yeah, because if you're in the system, remember, your life is not yours anymore for a period of time, right?
Yes.
They've got control of you, right? But if you're outside the system and you're just normal, we shouldn't say abnormal, but you know what I mean, then there are things you can do to make applications to the court. He can still make an application to the court.
Yeah.
Right, but the family law court's likely to say, hey, listen, the kid's too young. We don't want to expose that child to that sort of environment where he's got to walk through gates and fences.
Yeah,
and see other people.
yeah, of course. That would be in the scenario that he's in jail.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Love you.
Okay.
Call you later.
All right. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Wow.
Can I talk about allegations quickly?
Yeah, but that was the point I wanted to make.
Exactly.
Like, if you know, even if there's domestic violence, there'd be some sort of visitation.
Yep.
I know the most unfit fathers that have access to their children. The most unfit. Like, I can't believe.
Wild.
But this is so wrong, to be honest. It's so wrong that our law allows this to sort of slip through, and who cares? It's like they don't even care. As long as you're paying, you're the dad, you don't need a relationship, you just do your thing, pay the money and don't worry about it. Insane.
So to the point of allegations, and this is in general against the father, not just me.
Yeah.
Any allegation that comes to your head, think about it, don't say it, has been put forward against the father, right? Father is 100% innocent, cleared. The mother can make those allegations. You are put in a corner where it's just a waiting game, right? You have to sit and wait, and the judge decides whether these allegations are true or not. So they obviously come back as false. For example, medical records.
Yeah.
They receive the medical record. The allegation is A, B, C. Impossible. Impossible. What do you think happens to the father? Cleared, no, not guilty, no allegation confirmed. Do you think there's any
leniency,
compensation?
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
definitely
Compensation, not financial, don't get me wrong. Compensation in the fact that
you were
you've made a
accused
false
of something.
You've made a false allegation.
It's
You are
more-
100% incorrect. You now have to make,
Wow.
you
Yeah.
are made to allow your son to see your
Yeah.
the father.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, to be honest, after everything you've said.
Any allegation that comes to your head gets put towards the father. So how does the father feel? You sit back, you cop it, you know you're innocent.
Feel defeated.
You feel, defeated, deflated. And you think, okay, well, I'm innocent. She's made the false allegation times 10. Let me see my son now.
Yeah. No.
Wow.
Unless she allows it. The court orders could say yes, right?
But ultimately, it's what she chooses to do, right? If she doesn't want to bring him to a visit, no, that's it. This is unreal. What an unbelievable, wow.
So it's
Wow.
it's more than a loss.
Yeah.
It's a, what's the word? Deprivation
Yeah, absolutely.
of part of you.
Yeah, of course.
You're just told to carry on.
I know, it's nothing, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think
A lot of
you know,
fathers lose it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
A lot of
I don't
fathers
blame them, though, really.
lose it, go over the edge,
Yeah.
spiral out of,
Yeah.
depression. And
I don't blame them. It's your kid. I could
Yeah.
never imagine not even seeing my child for a week, 2
That's
weeks,
right.
3 weeks, Imagine 12 years. I mean, that is just, wow. Wow.
Well, I guess we can only hope for the
Yeah,
best,
that's
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
hope that
You never
either
know what could happen.
she,
hope and prayer. And
And
that,
even-
she changes her mind and maybe,
he somehow.
yes, that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Maybe he
Wow,
finds you
wow,
and
wow, wow.
wants a relationship with you
Definitely.
and get
You
to know
never
you
know.
because I'm sure that you and your family will only welcome him with open arms.
And what a shame to
Um,
miss out on a good dad. What a shame.
That's
There's so
right.
many people out there, kids that, again, don't have fathers by choice or kids that have really shitty fathers
That's
or whatever.
right.
What a shame to miss out on a good dad for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Okay, thank you so much
Appreciate
for
it. No
coming
worries.
on
Thank
and
you so
sharing
much.
all of that. That was
Yes,
so full on,
thank
but we
you.
appreciate it. Guys, as always, Married Now Widowed on all platforms. If you have any questions or you want us to speak about something, please send it through. Send us a DM and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.